Tiger fans, baseball season has barely been over, and the Tigers are already out there making moves. Didn't have to wait until the winter meetings. Didn't have to wait till after the new year for the calendar to flip. Scott Harris is out here. The champagne and beer in Arlington is barely even dried up, and here we go. The Tigers have acquired from the Milwaukee Brewers Mark Cahana in exchange for Blake, I hope to say his last name right, Holum. He was drafted by the Tigers in 2021 in the 15th round. He was actually a two-way player in college. Looks like the Tigers have been using him primarily as a reliever. Last year between West Michigan and Double-A Erie, he had a 3.03 ERA, 6-4 record, 65 and a third innings pitched, 76 strikeouts. So a 1.071 whip. So the guy had started making progress towards the big leagues. Excuse me, climbing from rookie ball up to Double-A. Who knows if this comes back and bites the Tigers? You know, he already is 25, but they needed a right-handed hitting bat. Absolutely needed it. My last video where my brother and I were on here talking about the Tigers' moves going forward in the offseason, I had said they need to trade off some of this left-handed hitting depth. So what this means for Maton, what this means for McKinstry, what this means for Akil Baddoo, they need to get rid of some of these left-handed hitting bats. And if I'm Scott Harris, I'm sorry. Akil Baddoo is Nico Goodrum 2.0. Gone. See ya, friend. He's out of here. Nick Maton, he stinks. He couldn't even make it in the big leagues for an entire level, and he showed no progress at being able to hit breaking balls, and his swing is so bad. He got sent down twice because of how bad his swing is. He was so in between. He knew that he couldn't hit curveballs, and then all of a sudden, because he knew he couldn't hit curveballs, he all of a sudden lost his ability to one thing he could do that he did with the Phillies, and that was hit fastballs. And he couldn't hit fastballs because he was so ramped up trying to cover the breaking ball. He was horrifically bad last year. And Akil Baddoo is look lost for 2 straight years. He was a great story. It was cool a couple years ago. He hits a home run in his first major league at bat. That's fine. That's great. But you know something? This team won 77 games last year. This team took a step forward. This team, you could finally see the writing on the wall that they're starting to get better. They can compete for the division next year. Having all these crap-ass left-handed hitters does not help you at all. Having all these crap-ass left-handed hitters, and primarily outfielders, you need to move on from some of them. So, who knows? You know, this definitely means that Austin Meadows is not coming back. Not unless they give him like some minor league deal and it's like a prove it kind of thing. But this definitely means, because now the outfield is definitely full. Meadows is not coming back. It might spell the end for Akil Baddoo. You know, they're going to have to look at Zach McKinstry. I know Zach McKinstry was a finalist for a Gold Glove winner, you know, and he was really good defensively everywhere that they put him. But, you know, they are too loaded left-handed wise. And, you know, they need an outfielder. And they got one. Now, Cahana last year, he had a bit of mixed results. So he's 34. He is a free agent at the end of the 2024 season. So the Tigers get somebody last year. Now, if you look at his last 6 years, I believe he's posted an OPS plus of at least 100 over his last 6 years. Yeah, since 2018, he's posted an OPS plus over 100 every single year. So he's been an above average league. He's been above league average player. Last year, he was like kind of a tale of two stories. So he goes to the Mets, ends up only hitting 6 home runs, 245, 343, 381, with exactly 100 OPS plus slash line, 6 home runs, 29 RBIs, had 15 doubles. Goes to the Brewers, and the Brewers were in contention, trying to win the Central. 287, 373, 427 slash with an 800 OPS with 120 OPS plus, 5 home runs, 33 RBIs. Absolutely came alive when he put that Brewers uniform on. The Brewers didn't want to probably pick up his option for 2024, so the Tigers send over a depth positional piece in their minor leagues for Mark Cahana. They get a right-handed hitting outfielder, which they needed. They absolutely needed another right-handed hitter, and I'm going to keep stressing this. So now, like I said, moving forward, you have to wonder what's going to go on in the outfield now. Because now you got Veerling, who's a right-handed hitting outfielder / infielder. You got Mark Cahana, who's an right-handed hitting outfielder. So Justin Henry Malloy, Colt Keith, both of those guys have been playing some of the outfield. But I think they're going to probably try to put Colt Keith at second because Jace Jung is pushing for the big leagues, and they had played him in the fall league at third. Now, I don't know how well that went because I didn't have the ability to watch any Arizona Fall League this year, but Jung had made such big strides at second base that he was called one of their best defensive minor leaguers in their entire Tiger system. That's why they put him over to third, because Colt Keith, they were unsure if he was going to be able to make it as a third baseman. So I don't know if they're going to go and put Colt Keith at second, try to get him acclimated there with a little bit of outfield, and then play him a little bit at third, and I guess waiting for Jung to finally come up and be a part of the big squad because of the way he had progressed last year. But the real question is how are they going to use Justin Honey Malloy? Because now you add another right-handed hitting outfielder, which I think adding Cahana really shows you their faith in Justin Honey Malloy's ability to play a defensive position. Adding a guy like Cahana, basically taking his spot. So whether or not they rotate him between DH third outfield, pending who's got to play, because how Hinch utilizes his bench, and how Hinch, it don't matter if you got a day off, you don't have a day off. We'll have to see. I don't think the Tigers would be stupid enough to trade someone like Justin Honey Malloy, who, yet again showed power, yet again showed ability to walk, yet again showed plate discipline. Now, I have heard some things on certain podcasts with certain guys that I respect their opinion, and a lot of people are talking about concern for Justin Honey Malloy being able to hit the breaking ball consistently. I don't know. I don't watch him on a nightly basis like some of those guys do, and they're thinking that maybe because he's had an issue with off speed like he did at AAA, that coming to the big leagues, and as much as he struck out last year, coming to the big leagues, and facing even better pitching and having an issue hitting off speed is just going to get exposed quickly. So maybe Cahana is a safety blanket. So, say they rotate Jahan DH third outfield, and, he struggles. Well, you got someone in Cahana who, has been in the big leagues for a while. It has been an above average, league average player every single year since 2018. He's been in the big leagues. So, I mean, depth is depth, and this is not a bad thing. And one thing I bitched about for a while, every single time the Tigers have made a move over the last few years, it's been for somebody's trash. And it's like the Gregory Soto trade is a perfect example. Like Matt Vierling and Nick Maton and Donnie Sands. Basically 3 cast-offs that the Phillies didn't want, and the Tigers traded a reliever with like 3 years of team control left who was not even 30. And I don't know, worked out-ish. I mean, Vierling was good in the infield, and he gave you a lot of defensive versatility, but he had a complete power outage this year, where he went like 200 at-bats without a home run. So I don't know. At least with Mark Cahana, he is a little bit older, but he's finally a guy, and I have stressed this so many times on this channel, he's finally a guy, when you look on the back of his baseball card, it has some actual fucking numbers. It's not a prospect that you hope comes up and helps the team. It's not a prospect that, is ripping it up at AAA, comes up and struggles for a year, and you don't get anything that you need out of him, and you have yet another same dead position that prospect was supposed to fill. It's not a guy who's on a down year coming out of it, and you hope that you get a bounce back performance. This is a guy with some actual statistics, some actual numbers, some actual track record to show, hey, I'm a guy that can help contribute to a lineup for 150 games. So, it's nice to finally see a move like that. It's nice to finally see an actual player with a track record, even if it's for a year. He's only got 1 year left, to come in and help a lineup that desperately needed a right-handed hitting outfielder. Desperately needed it. So we'll have to see what it means for those other left-handed hitting guys, like I said, with like Maton, Badu, McKinstry, all those other guys, see how it affects it, because they need to clear a spot on the roster, and they already have too many left-handed hitting outfielders, because Parker Meadows isn't going anywhere. Like I said, it might mean the end for Austin Meadows. You'll have to see what it means, for the delaying or suppressing how quick Justin Honey Malloy comes up to the big leagues, or what they do with him, which I really hope they don't trade him, but, we'll have to see. But it's nice to see the Tigers make a move for somebody of actual decent quality. He's not a guy that, I'm not trying to make it seem like we're getting Albert Pujols, But for fuck's sake, seeing how many crappy free agents and how many shitty prospects they brought up through this system over the last 5 years, they were supposed to help and try to be something, it's decent. It's finally nice to see a decent player that's going to come to this team next year. Okay, so now we have to discuss the thing that nobody thought was going to happen. Apparently, Erod's Magic 8 Ball decided to start working again. Because when he didn't go to the Dodgers at the trade deadline and they asked him if he was going to stay here, he said he didn't have a Magic 8 Ball, so he couldn't tell you. Well, apparently, the Magic 8 Ball is now working. He shook it, he changed the batteries, and it said, "Get the fuck out of Detroit. I'm not doing my last 3 years, $49 million. So, surprise, surprise, sound the alarm. Erod is a free agent. So, not really any kind of news there, but he is a free agent. Whether or not the Tigers bring him back, I don't know. As stated earlier, when they had initially failed on the trade, I didn't know if Scott Harris was going to go and overpay him to try to keep him because they had such an egg left on his face for the trade not going through with the Dodgers that they already had worked out. Erod, in his comments and his attitude towards it, really had pissed me off. You can go back and watch some of my other videos, but a quick synopsis. Some of his comments and what he had said, that he loves it here in Detroit. His family loves it here in Detroit. He didn't want to leave here, but yet an extra $20 million from the Dodgers would have made him not love Detroit as much and would have allowed him to leave his family to go play in LA. And then they asked if he was going to stay here, damn well knowing he wasn't going to stay here, and he says he doesn't have a Magic 8 Ball. So now he does. He read it, and apparently it said opt out of his contract with the Tigers, so he's not respecting his last 3 years, $49 million. And you know something? I don't care. I'm cool with it. Everyone says they need to re-sign Erod, everything else. He's on the other side of 30. He's been injured for both years. The first year of the contract, he goes and just ups and leaves, and he's gone for 2.5 months of the contract. This year, he gets hurt with some weird finger injury that hardly ever happens to pitchers. Let somebody else be his headache. Let somebody else deal with his family issues. Let somebody else deal with his oddball injuries. Was he good? Yes. Did I enjoy watching him pitch? Yes, was a really consistent starter. He was really good last year. Damn good. Him and Tarek Skubal at the top were a formidable 1-2. But you know something? He's going to want, if he declined 3 at 49, he's going to want at least 2 more years out of that contract. 2 to 3 more years. And he's probably going to want closer to $100 million. And you know something? Him being at his age? No thanks. Appreciate you being here for those last couple years, Erod. Too bad Javier Baez didn't come and sign his paperwork with you to opt out of his remaining money. But he's here for the next few years. But Tigers acquire a right-handed hitting outfield bat. Thank God they got Mark Cahana. Hopefully somebody that can come in and contribute from the right-hand side. Can't wait to see what the Tigers' corresponding move is to see how they clear space in the outfield for him. So I got for you guys. I'll be back with any breaking news. Go Tigers.